Any list of the greatest video game development teams of all time would not be complete without Treasure Company Limited. The Tokyo based developer, staffed by ex Konami devs, roared into the scene on the 19th of June 1992, bringing to market their first game, Gunstar Heroes, as well as the implausibly good, at least according to Rich Ledbetter's Sega magazine at the time, as I never found a copy in the wild myself, McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, starring the erstwhile mascot of McDonald's, Ronald McDonald. Treasure may be familiar to Nintendo fans for Mischief Makers and the Sin and Punishment games, as well as the less celebrated Wario World, and on the Switch for Ikaruga and Radiant Silvergun. Treasure games, though, were distinctive for being frenetic and high-challenge thrill rides. Then, in 2014, the company released its final title on the 3DS, Geist Crusher God, and departed the scene. All these years later, many people have asked, where is Treasure now? Some people are still definitely at the company. The president of Treasure was, and from their website still is, Masato Maegawa. Born on the 1st of September 1965, Maegawa made the jump to become an independent studio after the proposal for Gunstar Heroes had previously been rejected at Konami. Beyond that, the team maintained a small footprint and an independent-minded spirit. People were given scope to create independently. Maegawa explained to Iwata in 2009, "Even today it's normal for 3 people to be a team at our company. That way they can do what they want and really make it stand out. But it's not like that's the only reason I insist on my policy of working in small numbers. The reality simply is that we don't have many people." Also, it seems that Nintendo found working with them on Sin and Punishment, in the words of one of their senior producers, in the top 3 most difficult out of the different developers that they collaborate with. When asking for changes, Treasure wouldn't give an estimated date, even when pressed, simply saying that they don't know, but they do their best. Treasure would produce the prototype when they were ready, and it was always the work of true perfectionists. Indeed, after banking their licensing money from McDonald's and the income from the breakout success of Gunstar Heroes, they split into 4 development teams going forward, developing classics such as Dynamite Headdy and Alien Soldier concurrently. During the 2000s, they had a few setbacks and fell back on to funding for their more independent-spirited activities with licensed titles like Tiny Toons, Astro Boy, and Wario World. But as the 2010s drew near, their staff numbers dwindled from around 20 to 30 at their height to reportedly fewer than 10 employees who were tasked with the re-releases of classic titles. Maegawa commented on the state of the industry when discussing Ikaruga's 2018 release. The article is from Google Translate, and I think by the billing system he may mean pay-to-win features, but he said, "I have the impression that the game industry is focusing too much on the billing system. The excitement of hitting strong characters and weapons is also a game, but I think it should be based on the fun and gameplay of the main game." End quote. So, what happened to the core Treasure developers? It seems the financial demand for niche titles of this nature, not helped by low sales of titles like Sin and Punishment Star Successor, led to a gradual exodus. Ikaruga and Star successors Yasushi Suzuki has since designed mechs and blades for Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Hirito Matsuura joined the company seemingly in the mid-2000s with Advance Guardian Heroes, and although his last full credit was Sin and Punishment Star Successor, he was also interviewed in August 2013 in relation to Guardian Heroes, suggesting that he was then still a developer for Treasure. Since then, his only credit is the 2022 game Harvestella, and although of course we can't rule out that this is another person with the same name, Treasure's Mitsuru Yaida also worked on Harvestella. Indeed, it seems to be a trend as since 2022's release of Ikaruga, a game they built up significantly as a 30th anniversary title, the former Treasure developers have started appearing elsewhere. Hideyuki Suganami's last title was also Star Successor. Whereas before the company was trying to nurse along its IPs, it seems that the company is now effectively wound up. Atsutomo Nakagawa, who did the heavy lifting on Star Successor, is still working, if Moby Games is to be believed, with credits as recently as 2023, but he's reportedly in his 70s and no longer at Treasure. Of course, re-releases are still possible. For Nintendo fans, though, there are probably a couple of titles that would excite the most. Mischief Makers, a 1997 Nintendo 64 title, was directed by Hideyuki Suganami, who was also a core developer of both Sin and Punishment titles. He is one of the few Treasure developers not to have more recent credits at all since 2009. There was an interview published in recent years with Suganami, legendary for designing a revolutionary multi-jointed boss for Gunstar Heroes, who started in the business in 1991, but it's not clear when the interview was conducted, and while it's plausible that he is still at Treasure, and if so, could even be shepherding projects with Nintendo, it's equally possible that he is no longer in the industry at all. Probably if there is a future intersection of Nintendo and Treasure, it lies in a remaster of the acclaimed but low-selling Sin and Punishment Star Successor, which may find new joy as a showcase for the Switch 2's mouse capabilities. With a bit of polish to bring the graphics to an HD standard, the game could certainly play as new and may require little supervision from the skeleton team at Treasure. Even then, the route for such a project seems fraught with difficulty. Nintendo's own producer and the director of the first game, Hitoshi Yamagami, appears to have left Nintendo, although he does have special thanks credits on a number of recent titles, including some games, which probably reflects his work prior to leaving the company, but could also indicate that he's now around doing some consulting work. The thing is, who could shepherd such a project now? Well, I think there is someone who might show an interest, and that person is Yuri Hattori. Hattori had been involved in producing multiple projects, but told Iwata Asks around the release of Star Successor that the Sin and Punishment sequel was the one where she specifically requested to be involved, hoping that the title could be made a little more approachable than was standard for Treasure titles. Iwata explained this as keep the depth but make it easier to tackle, make it open to first-timers. Hattori is more commonly associated with the Style Savvy series, and this decade, apart from a few special thanks credits, her major role has been on network planning for Animal Crossing New Horizon. Still, it feels like she would have the clout at Nintendo and clearly once had the interest in the project to bring Sin and Punishment back for what would probably then be one final outing for Treasure. My hunch, though, is that if they can't at least bring in the top Treasure people to supervise, Nintendo will simply let the title go onto the eventual, inevitable Wii Classics app when that finally drops, and after that, Sin and Punishment will remain nothing more than a glorious footnote in Nintendo's history. I don't think a Star Successor remake is impossible by any means, but with the game being such a low seller originally, and with the tiny team on both Nintendo's side and Treasure's scattered to the wind, it does feel like a 10% chance to me. In many ways, it's a wonder Treasure lasted as long as it did, and although it seems like a pity that its independent spiritedness was perhaps a bit too early to benefit from the rise of celebrated indies, especially on Switch, even so, they are a testament to what a dedicated team of developers can achieve. Ultimately, though, it seems incredibly unlikely that Treasure will release an original game, but stranger things have happened, and I, for one, will keep hoping. Thank you so much for watching. Do share this video to promote Treasure's great works. I have other developer deep dives, and you can support me on Patreon below, but I shall see you next time for another Nintendo Forecast.